reach with your hands. We're good. Right? Of course, we're going slow motion. So let me borrow here. You can reach with your hand before you reach with your hand. Yeah, and then whether or not she rolls here doesn't matter. But again, she reaches with her hand. So why don't we want to do that? Injure something. Could be the wrist, could be the fingers, could be the shoulder, could be the elbow, could be the head or the nervous system or the spine, because this doesn't provide the roll surface, so then you're basically a little bit of crumple zone, and then the damage to the mass of the body, the nervous system, right? Now, it could be a series, it could be the wrist and the fingers, it could be the hand, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, it's a risk of injury, right? Now, I would describe this as if she's going down and she reaches to, not setting up a roll, but reach, right? What she's doing is, what? She's resisting the throw. She's trying to stop either me from throwing her, which like this slow motion might be what she's doing, or she's trying to stop the oomph of the roll, or delay it, sort of stop energy, which is very minimized. Like in this, the amygdala is just like, I don't want that, even though it's coming down the pike, but maybe if I delay it, so it still stop energy, maybe less effective, right? But each of these is resisting the roll. Now, if I grab and she wants to resist this proposed roll and she does a counter move, it's fine. Like, it's pretty good martial arts, right? But once we get to the point that it is a roll, there should be no resistance, right? In Aikido, we talk about taking Ukemi, right? We talk about receiving the roll. Here is the roll, and she receives it. So there's nothing reaching to stop, to resist, to delay, to hope against. Whether or not she's expecting it, like the particular role or even a role, like in this context, she should be in a receiving mindset. So no part of her has this energy. Now we don't want to do that because of the increased risk of injury, notably like the wrist or the fingers, for sure, right? But you also don't want to do it because it's not receiving a roll, right? Energetically, you can be yawing here if I try and get a roll out of you and I'm not getting it. You could counter it and do something to me. Totally reasonable, right? And I could here try and counter this, but at this point, the tipping point, I shouldn't be trying to you got me, I'm going, so I don't resist. I just, I took the roll. I received the roll. I took it. I accepted. I took the roll. Yeah? So, no resisting energy in Ukemi. Yeah?
I'd like to add one thing to that. When you were using the example, it was interesting because when I went like that, I could tell my face would have gone like that too.
For sure.
Because I wasn't set up to go.
Yeah, and then you break your teeth, put your fingers first, and then you need somebody else to put the dentures in instead of, at least I could have put my own dentures in, right? So it's a subtle thing when I say don't reach, right? Like, nothing happened. Yeah, but if I reach, whether or not you make contact or you get hurt, that tells me that you're not receiving a roll. You're resisting. You're hoping against, right? You're trying to minimize. It's not really receiving the roll, taking Ukemi, yeah? So it's tough. It's a tough thing to do. That's one of the reasons that we practice rolls so much. You start to recognize, what's that point? Here I go. Well, I wasn't totally, doesn't matter. And perhaps this winter, if you should take a fall, right? The ice and the wet leaves and the snow and the slippery boots and the wet tiles in somebody's store. Or if you resist in that moment, because you shouldn't be falling, they should have dried it, and you bought expensive shoes, they shouldn't be slippery or whatever. You could figure all that out later and yell at the store owner and shovel your driveway better. You can do all that later, but in this moment, I am falling. There's no resistance there, right? And so to take Ukemi is really a practice of the heart, right? It's opening, not closing, right? It's filling, not folding, right? It's expressiveness, not this shirking back or shrinking back. It's, here it comes. Did I want to fold? No, I thought I had Darcy, but she got me. But here it comes. Hey! Here it comes. Here it comes. Not, resist. Right? To resist is generally to stiffen. Right? So take Ukemi. We could think of as accept Ukemi. And part of the practice there is to recognize the point at which, this is what it is. Right? This is happening now. Right? If your brother's trying to get you to get on the roller coaster, you can argue and wager, and you can make excuses, and you can barter with, I'll fix your lawnmower if you don't make me go on. And you can delay, and you could trick him. But once they lock it in, you're on this ride. It doesn't mean you have to have fun, but you don't spend your energy trying to resist it. You're going to get hurt. Maybe less likely in a roller coaster than in a roll, right? So when we practice Sumiyo Doshe, this is this is the point at which it's foregone. It's happening. That's it. And what do I feel in myself at that point? Is there a tightness? Does my cheek come up? Am I turning to look? Am I trying to control it? Or am I just trying to accept and then guide the process? Right? If we can accept and guide the process, we stay settled. We stay present. Right? Our spirit's not shattered. Our mind is not fractalized. We're present. We're here. And then maybe I do a good roll. I can come up and let me get you now. You through me, or whatever we want to do. Right? So it's really important to notice these moments where somebody reaches, or stiffens, or tightens, or look. And particularly if that happens after the go, no go point, right? Once you're at V2, like that's it. Like it's happening, right? So you know that, right? So V2 is when you're taking off on an airplane. V1 is this point at which if something goes wrong, you're going to stop or try and stop. But at V2, even if your engine is on fire, you're committed. We still take off, even though we know there's an engine on fire. At this point, we're taking off because it's actually safer to take off, troubleshoot the problem, checklist, dump fuel, whatever you do, and then come back. Even though, like, your untrained brain is like, if I can't fit something, like, I'm going to stop. But it's like, well, the physics are different. You're going to crash into the neighborhood. Like, there's only so much runway, and it's actually safer to get up. And so, like, the co-pilot or maybe the autopilot, whatever, calls it out, like V1, V2. Like, so I know at this point we're committed, right? And so you constantly are recognizing that point. I don't know if the pilot can like by landmarks, but you recognize it with the beeps or the sound or the voice or whatever it is. But you register that point all the time. And this happens in arts where you get thrown. You need to know that point, like it's happening. Do I accept in that moment? Because it can happen fast. Or do you plan to accept? And let me just loosen up my tightness and then try and, well, it's over. Can I just accept? Yep. Hey. Sorry for that. I might have kept you late now, so if you have to go and can't clean it, so I'm just you're welcome to leave that on if it helps you practice next week.